Us now is Benjamin Radd, professor of political science and global studies at UCLA. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me back.
So it seems President Trump giving maybe some mixed messages on when the war will end. Strategically, what phase of the conflict are we in right now, in your opinion, and what should we be watching out for next?
So I don't think there's certainty as to what stage we're at, but I would say if we had to take a guess, it would be diminishing Iran's capacity, specifically with regard to its ballistic missiles and its drone arsenal, and mitigating the damage that Iran can do both to the United States and Israeli forces, but also to allies and others in the area, looking at bases, energy sector in the Gulf states, things of that nature.
And the Iranian military, it's already decimated. This morning, we heard from Defense Secretary Hegseth. He said today would be the most intense day of bombing yet. They also explained that while we've hit 5,000 targets, we've seen a decline in how much missile use they are actually using. So how long can that regime actually hold out?
So the Iranian state media, or at least what they're indicating, is that they are holding back on some of their more advanced missiles for a later stage of the conflict. Now, whether that's true, whether that's just boasting, difficult to tell, but I think what we're seeing today, the comments from the secretary indicate that the U.S. is really looking to accelerate the deterioration of Iran's offensive capabilities to bring about this phase of the conflict to an end. We still have left outstanding the 400 plus kilograms of highly enriched uranium, which the president has said is an important factor in what the U.S. wants to accomplish.
Well, we also, there's a lot of discussion around the supreme leader and the newly supreme leader being named. The defense secretary said he wouldn't comment on that supreme leader and if he was injured, but assuming he's healthy enough to assume the role, what impact do we think his appointment would have?
So he's going to represent probably more of a caretaker transition to whatever comes next. It's difficult to see him enduring, either because he will be the target of Israeli or U.S. assassination attempts, and because he simply doesn't have the public presence, the legitimacy, the credibility that his father had. He's made almost no public appearances ever. There's one video of him circulating, and most of the Iranian public has not seen him or let alone heard his voice, but they do know his name. And so he is going to be able to rally members of the IRGC leadership behind him. But whether that's sustainable going forward into the months to come, and whether he can really build the office around his stature, his personality, that remains to be seen, and I say is doubtful.
Okay, and realistically, where do you think we are at on this? So President Trump yesterday is saying, hey, this war is almost over, yet we just heard this morning that things are still increasing on our end. So where do we stand right now?
So long as Iran's able to fire missiles and attack allies in the region and attack, again, U.S. energy infrastructure, closing off the Straits of Hormuz, basically causing disruption, the war will continue. And then secondarily, we still have the existence of that uranium that I mentioned that is a key part of all of this. If the president's goal is to prevent Iran from being able to reconstitute its nuclear program, then it's vital that the United States identify and secure what's remaining of that uranium. So that part remains to be seen, whether it needs combat soldiers doing a land invasion or special forces entering to retrieve it. That would be a second stage of the conflict.
There's a lot happening here internationally, too, and within the region, but Israel has said that there could potentially be a ground invasion of Lebanon. Lebanon reportedly signaled they're open to peace talks with Israel and expelling Hezbollah. In Australia, multiple soccer players from the Iranian women's national team were granted visas to remain there. What are your takeaways from these developments?
So the Lebanese front is not surprising. We knew that Hezbollah has always acted as a proxy of Iran. We knew that Iran would try to strike at Israel using what's left of Hezbollah's capabilities. What is surprising is the, I think, sense of frustration and anger that we're seeing from the Lebanese government and the Lebanese people, who simply don't want to act as agents of Iran and don't want to be dragged into another conflict that, the last one in 2024 devastated Lebanon, as have previous conflicts with Israel in the past. And the Australian asylum grant is, quite remarkable. These young women very bravely refused to sing the national anthem at one of the matches they were playing in Australia, and signaled as they were boarding the bus that they basically wanted to be saved. And there was this big movement that galvanized around providing them safe refuge. And it's great to see that the Australian government was able to step in and take care of that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it and appreciate the breakdown.
Thank you.